I want to talk about this idea of work-life balance. Okay. For several years, I tried to achieve this unsuccessfully because I thought that was supposed to be the goal. Work-life balance, right? You hear that, it's kind of a catchphrase, a term people throw around, and I've never quite achieved it, but I've never quite been unhappy about it either, and I thought I was weird. I thought I was alone. I thought I was just out there by myself, because the people in my sphere, family, friends, and loved ones, always tell me I work too much. I'm doing too much. I have too much output. But I was listening to a episode of Earn Your Leisure on Market Mondays, at one of the shows that they have, one of the podcasts I listen to, and they talked about this idea of work life balance being not a real thing or a goal that should be desired, by entrepreneurs, especially initially, in the beginning phases of business. And I thought, wow, interesting, controversial, an interesting thought. Let me see if I can share a few bites from the episode. Let's see. Hopefully, you all will be able to hear it, is the challenge. But let's see what we can do here. If you've never listened to Earn Your Leisure, highly recommend the show. They do a great job. It's a financial literacy podcast, but they also talk about real life stuff. And they also sprinkle in a little sports and hip hop. It's good. It's good stuff. All right, let's see here.
I think it's important to really talk about balance and what does it really mean. So, very rarely in life are you going to have balance. I think
Mhm,
that the whole goal of life is to be unbalanced so you can achieve balance. But you have to be unbalanced at a certain point to achieve balance. So,
mhm,
this isn't theory. In 2015, I was on the couch in my parents' house. Things wasn't going good for me, but that was an opportunity for me to stay up till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning and really master social media. Taught myself how
mhm,
to edit a variety of different things where I was just playing around with apps. Mike would give me a suggestion about this app, and then I would take 3 hours to learn the app and then make content and then do this. I had a career as a financial advisor that I had to do from 9 to 5 or longer. And then from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning when everybody was asleep and it was cemetery silence, I could close the blinds and I would work. That was extremely unbalanced and continued that even now, right?
All right, so I'm going to pause this. We're going to come back to this. We're going to come back to them because I want to play a little bit more of this clip. But I just want to interject that idea of having a 9 to 5, right? Not interject, but add on to, right? Having a 9 to 5 and then having a side hustle or business that you're developing, whatever the case, your passion project, whatever the case, um, and building on that at night. I think the misconception a lot of times, in entrepreneurship is you have to quit everything else and just give 100% full focus on your business idea. That is an avenue. That is an option. And I have done that. The challenge that I found in that avenue was that the stress level is completely different. The anxiety, that thought process of eat what you kill. Like if you don't get a client that day or a gig that day or have a certain number of customers that day or that week, you might not be able to pay your bills. You might not be able to eat. It's a different type of pressure. And some people need that. But I think it's important to understand where you are, right? Is that the type of pressure you want? Is it just you? Do you have a family? Do you have pets? Do you have Fido you gotta buy dog food for? Like, what's going on, right? What motivates you? Some people need that motivation. Just jump all in. It's do or die. If this isn't successful, I don't have a way out. Some people need that, but everybody doesn't, right? And I think it really takes some self reflection, right, to figure out where do you land on that spectrum, right? And so I want your business, your passion project to thrive. I want you also to have a manageable level of stress and anxiety. So in that sense, I think a balance is key. But as far as work-life balance is like, oh, I go to work, I come home, I don't think about anything else. I just kick my feet up and watch TV and eat bonbons. That might not be realistic if you want to be an entrepreneur. Now, and I'm assuming you're watching this because you have some type of food and beverage business you're working on, or have a thought that you're trying to get off the ground, or just an inkling that you might want to do that, right? Because here on the Hospitality Hacks Pro Show, thanks for listening. By the way, we give you tips, tricks, and tidbits, hacks, if you will, right, to help your food and beverage business run just a little bit smoother. That's what we're here for, right? So, you know, you can still have a job and build your dream at night. And once your passive income, or that passive word sometimes is a trigger, once your business income reaches the point where it can consistently sustain you, then you might need to rethink, okay, do I need to keep this job? Or do I need to put 100% focus on the business now? Right. But if you selling empanadas on the weekends and you making a couple $100, that's fantastic. Is that enough to sustain your life though? Like, you know what I mean? Is 300, $400 a week that I'm assuming might not cut it. I'm assuming it's a welcome addition, but it's not a life-changing amount of money. Now, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But let's go back to this clip. Let's see here. Let's go back to this clip. There's more interesting things here.
But these are sacrifices that were made 8 years ago to get me to the point where I am now. Mm-hmm. So I think that the idea or the fairy tale of a balanced life is something that is unrealistic for anybody that's trying to achieve greatness, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner. So it's your responsibility to be able to communicate this to your wife, significant other, children, and they have to understand how to deal with disappointment.
All right. He said the things, the actions, the decisions that he made 8 years ago has him at the place that he is now. Again, if you're not familiar with Earn Your Leisure, I suggest you go take a listen, take a watch on YouTube. I'm a huge fan. They're doing amazing things for the culture, for the community, and in the way of education. And so I highly respect what they're doing. I don't agree with 100% of what they say, and you don't have to agree with 100% of what they say or what I say, but the purpose, the idea is to think. The idea is to reflect. The idea is to take a moment. Like, do I agree? Do I not? Why or why not? And dig a little deeper. Right. With that being said, do keep in mind that all thoughts, opinions, and 2 cents shared on this show are mine and mine alone, and do not represent any other organization or have any other affiliation outside of the individual that is me. Okay. The things he did 8 years ago set him up for now. A lot of times we want instant gratification. We want it now at this exact moment. Microwave culture, right? We want to put something in, press the button, 2 minutes later, ding, it's ready. I'm a multimillionaire. 2 minutes later, ding, it's ready. I'm famous. Ding, I'm wealthy. Ding, I have everything I ever wanted and dreamed. Ding, I got the big house on the hill. Ding, I got the luxury car. No. It does not always work that way, people. And the people who you think just are overnight successes oftentimes put in the work when you weren't looking. And once they get on your radar, they put the time in, they put the work in, they have that compound effect where getting a little bit better every day, doing a little bit more every day, doing one thing to build their business every day at least, and then all of a sudden, bow, 10 years later, overnight success. Bow, 8 years later, oh wow, this guy just popped up on my social media feed and they've got the secret to success. Yo, I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna say I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news because I'm not. I wish I could reach through the screen or reach through the audio waves and just shake you and be like, yo, do what it takes today to have the success tomorrow. Right. And it's who you become on that journey that makes the difference. What's the difference between people who are highly successful, have highly are highly motivated, like are really doing things, and me or you or your neighbor or your friend or your family or your child? They're flesh and blood just like me and you. What's the difference? Right? Really think about that. I think it's the commitment, right? How are you showing up for yourself? You have this great idea, but what are you doing with it? Are you working after that 9 to 5, quote unquote, or 6 to 2, or whatever you do? Right? Are you still putting time in despite your loved one saying you're doing too much? Despite not seeing instant microwave results, despite it taking longer than you would like, despite you not seeing the outcome that you want today, put the work in. This is not a happy, feel good, rainbows and sunshine conversation. This is not you might not want to hear this right now, but you know what? I think you're listening for a reason. And when you feel like quitting is the time you need to push just a little bit harder. When you feel like giving up is the moment that you need to give it one more burst of energy. Just take it one day at a time, 1 hour at 1 gig at a time, one event at a time, and push through. We had a failure, that's okay. Those happen. Pick yourself up and try one more time. You had a repo, things happen. Figure out how you can adjust your budget and look at your income versus your expenses and gather yourself to pay who you need to pay and try again. Try again. All right, let's keep listening. Some more good stuff on this clip.
Because the sacrifices that you're making are luxuries that they're provided. So this is an unbalanced life that I've never seen anybody that has had any level of balance that have achieved a high level of success. When we met Robert Smith, it was 7 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. He was already working, and he told us that he was flying out that next day, and he flies out all the time. Steve Stout, every single person, same story, flying. They're in different countries, different continents. That may seem like it's a lavish life that they're living, but there's sacrifices that's made. They're not with their families all the time. They're not with their children all the time. They're not with their spouse all the time. They're not listening to music. They're not playing poker all the time. So it's something that we can't always sugarcoat something and make it okay. No, there is no level of successful balance, especially in the beginning stages, that you have to make sacrifices. This is why everybody won't achieve success. This is why it's called a sacrifice. You have to sacrifice things like playing video games. You have to sacrifice things like going to the movies. You have to sacrifice things like random nonsense on social media for hours at a time. If you're not willing to make those sacrifices, that's okay. But you also probably will not be able to be a high level of success. And that's okay too. So I think that, at some point in time, we just have to be honest. You can't always sugarcoat things, and you can't always paint a fairy tale. This is things that I personally went through and have still going through. And these are things that I've seen other people going through. And every single person has the same story. It's an extremely unbalanced life to hopefully one day achieve balance. So I just think that that's important to keep in mind, because like I said, we live in a day and age where everybody has an opinion, but very few people have any level of expertise to speak on that opinion. If you haven't become successful, how can you teach me about success?
All right, I'm not going to play this whole clip. It's 20 minutes long. You can go and grab it, and maybe I'll drop that link in the box below in case you want to see more. This is a 20-minute clip from maybe a 2-hour conversation. They do a live show every Monday. It's usually over an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And it's good stuff. But one of the things I wanted to pull out from that last piece was Listen, y'all heard him. Putting the work in today to one day hopefully achieve this balance. I'm using air quotes for those who are not on the video experience. Key point being the time has to be put in. And he said something interesting that's why everybody won't achieve it. It's hard. It's difficult. I want to sit back and watch Netflix. I want to just put my feet up and relax. I want to say, deep sigh. Had a long day today. Let me just rest. Let me relax. Charge up for tomorrow. I don't want to put more work in when I get home. I don't want to put more work in after I've already worked a full 8, 10, 12-hour day. Now I got to work more. That's not comfortable. That's not desired. But if we want to tackle this thing called entrepreneurship, we want to get our food truck, our food trailer, our brick and mortar, our smoothie shop off the ground. Who's going to do it? If not you, then who? Now, if you have the funds, you can pay a manager, a supervisor, and team members, employees to do some of it. But when you're launching something, nobody has that vision the way you have it as the founder. At some point, you'll have to put some energy in. I'm just saying. That's the word of the day for today. Listen, y'all. I think it's really a time for self-reflection. Myself included. I'm talking to myself as well because I oftentimes I have the idea of where I'm trying to go. There's always people around you that will question. You don't have to work that hard. You don't have to do that much. You don't have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to you don't have to stay up that late. You don't have to. Why are you working 6 days a week? Why are you work 7 days a week this week? You work too much. You need to rest. You can't go this hard. At some point you're going to burn out. There's always people who don't see the vision, and they really have your best interest at heart. They really mean well. They may really love you. Because otherwise, why are they concerned? If someone doesn't care about you, be like, go ahead and burn yourself out. Hey, listen, I'm over here doing my thing. Right? So they probably really care about you. They probably really do love you. But are they where you want to be? Do they have what you want to have? I made a decision a couple of years ago to take advice, work advice, business advice from people who are at the place that I want to be in business. Now, I'm not talking about interpersonal advice. I'm talking about specifically work and business right now. So I'm not saying, mama can't tell you some good advice about how to treat your significant other or how to raise your kids that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about work and business, right? If you don't have what I want to have, if you're not at the place that I want to be, how can you give me advice on how to get there? If you've never done anything that I aspire to do, how can you have an opinion about what I'm doing? And again, you don't have to agree with me. Matter of fact, let's argue. I got time. Drop it in the comments if you disagree. Let's talk about it. But that's my 2 cents. That's my word of the day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed and following. Love y'all. See you next week.